Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us from the campus of Notre Dame for a What Though the Odds stewardship event. To all of you who have joined in, you have made a Notre Dame education accessible to students at the undergraduate level, graduate, professional levels. You have given hope for so many people, and I promise the ripple effect is going to come back to serve this world well. And it will be one of the greatest gifts in your life. I think you will feel the highest level of satisfaction and pride about. We are indeed tremendously grateful for you. We're sorry that again this year we are bringing this stewardship event to you virtually, but we hope to welcome you back in person next year to campus to say thank you, and more importantly, to introduce you to the students whose education you are making possible. There is no higher priority at the University of Notre Dame than meeting the full financial need of our students. And we are able to break cycles, especially for students that are coming from the greatest hardship, financially and otherwise. We are able to graduate students from the most difficult backgrounds at about a 94% clip. And that is higher than the other top universities in the country. And for somebody who's worked with the homeless and lived in shanty towns for many years of my life, trust me, the recidivism rate is very high. People move out of poverty, fall back. At Notre Dame, we're able to permanently break cycles of poverty and dependency with your help. And for many others who might be in that lower middle income range, being able to make a Notre Dame education accessible for them is huge. It's life-changing. And again, the ripple effect moving forward for generations to come is something that I don't think can even put a finger on the impact that truly has. So our hearts are full of gratitude, and we want to show and share with you two students who are here today because of your sacrifice and because of your generosity. And so let me introduce you first, Isabel, or she goes by Bella, Niforadis, and also Ross D'Entremont. They try to pick two students that you're going to love them, but our most difficult last names for me to introduce. So would you please join me in welcoming? Let's begin with you, Ross. Please just start out by giving us a little of your background and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, Lou, first, thank you for having me here today, and you did a great job on the name pronunciation. Like I said, there's a D and there's a T. That's all that really matters. That matters in the end. My family and I are originally from the great state of Texas. We moved around quite a bit, actually for financial reasons. We moved through most of the South up until I was about 10 or 11. And then we finally settled in the great state of Alabama, in Birmingham, Alabama, where I attended the University of Alabama ultimately for college. But ever since I was little, even moving around throughout much of the South, I would cheer on the Fighting Irish because of my grandfather, who was a major Notre Dame fan. He didn't go to Notre Dame, but he grew up that old Boston Catholic and would watch the Notre Dame games on the weekends. And it instilled into me a love for Notre Dame. So after college, after undergrad, I decided I want to go straight into law school. And Notre Dame was on my radar, and I ultimately decided to come here, and very thankful that I did.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, I want you to know I feel a little threatened by you, Ross. I mean, I have like 3 meager crosses in my background, and you have completely outdone me with your backdrop, with the number of crosses that you have back there. I'm impressed.
Well, I guess I just need more prayers than you do, Lou. Since I'm in law school, that's got to be what it is.
That's a good answer. I love it. So, Bella, tell us a little bit about your story. You have a remarkable past, and share with everybody a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Bella Niforadis. Again, great pronunciation. Does not happen often. I'm studying psychology and English with a creative writing honors concentration. And similar to Ross, I moved around a lot as a kid. I was homeless for most of my childhood, so I had a lot of like housing and food insecurity. Both of my siblings actually ended up going to Notre Dame, which was one of the reasons why I really wanted to go. And so a Notre Dame education was really important for all three of us, and kind of getting out of, as you talked about in the beginning, the cyclical and, the cycles of violence and that poverty creates. And like,
Right.
I don't know, there's a lot of power in getting an education, especially at a place like Notre Dame where it values people's stories.
So Bella, let me just ask you a few more questions. I mean, it's quite extraordinary for somebody who has, and my guess is you've been in and out of several different homeless shelters. For somebody to come from that background to be able to focus enough in the classroom to take advantage of education as a way to kind of break these cycles is an incredible statement about you and your character and your perseverance, and I'm sure also about your family. How did you do this? How have you been able to bring yourself against all that adversity to a place like Notre Dame?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with my parents, honestly. They raised us as valuing education and seeing education as a way out. Not necessarily that everyone, needs like a way out of a community like that, but for me, I knew that education was the way to realize my dreams. And honestly, my background has made me so passionate about the things that I want to do after college, and really understanding, again, like the structural components of poverty and how that relates to like gender-based violence, which is what I want to do. Like, I want to be involved in that field afterwards. So I think honestly, it's inspired me to both empower myself and empower others, because I know what it's like to, be very powerless in a situation like that. So
Well, congratulations on getting to this point, and we're really glad that you're here, not at Notre Dame, not just for yourself and your family, but for the impact that your story will have on other students who don't share a similar background. What they can learn from you is a great gift that you will have to share. Well, would each of you, maybe we'll start with Ross, tell us a little bit about what financial aid, the day that you learned about your financial aid package, what did that mean to you, and how has that made a Notre Dame education accessible to you?
Well, Lou, ultimately, when I started looking at the University of Notre Dame for law school and for the MBA program, I did so because of what it has to offer as far as academics and connections and the ethical and leadership that it instills into you, besides just the doctrinal points. But when I was accepted, it takes a couple of months before they start to offer the financial aid packages. And so I believe I was accepted in December 24th, actually. And then I received the financial aid package in February. And the day that I got that letter that detailed my financial aid package was a momentous day, because I saw that I could go to a top tier law school and MBA program and come out with no debt.
Was that a
And
bigger day for you than getting accepted?
that was, I don't know. I don't know if I would say that it was a bigger day than getting accepted, but what I would say is it made me feel like I could really come here.
Got it.
Right. It was the day I got accepted was, 20 or 21 years, 22 years of I have loved Notre Dame. I want to be there. And then that day it said, you can come. Like,
Yeah.
welcome, truly welcome home. And it made me feel welcomed, because it wasn't just you are good enough to get in. It's we want to see you here. What can we do to bring you here and show you that Notre Dame can and is your home? And that was a great day for myself as well as for my family. And ultimately, I decided to attend here for law school, my MBA program, and it's something that I have never regretted, and I'm just so thankful for.
Okay, so to the unastute observer like myself here, would you say that your accent now is more Texan or more Alabamian, or is it a mixture?
So it's definitely a mixture. My mother is from Georgia, and we lived in Georgia for a time. So
Okay.
I like to tell people just take the best of every southern state's accent, and then that's what made mine.
I love it.
And hopefully no one will disagree with that.
I love it. How about for you, Bella? Tell us about the day that you got the news about your financial aid package and what it meant to you and your family.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it was a more momentous day than getting accepted into Notre Dame, honestly, because I didn't even have money for college applications, like coming from a place where I had fee waivers for everything and I didn't even know if I'd like be able to go to college because I really needed like a full scholarship in order to be able to go here. So I was just overjoyed and my family was overjoyed and I was so excited. I'm really close with both of my siblings and so I was really excited to have Notre Dame make it possible for me to be able to go to a school where both of my siblings were. Um, and that has facilitated like both me and my siblings in the time that we were here to do so much, regardless of like paying for our education. Because I've talked about how financial aid has made it possible for me to like partake in the full Notre Dame experience here as well,
Mhm.
which is amazing. So
Well, I got to tell you that for all of our viewers, all of our donors, and for those of us who work here on a daily basis, you're the reason why everybody makes the sacrifices that they do. I mean, to see your faces and to hear your stories and understand what it means to you and your families that you can get here and a law, an MBA, and a Notre Dame undergraduate degree means the world to all of us. Tell us a little bit about your experiences and since you've been here, what are some of the things that you've been engaged in that have had the most meaningful impact on you? And let's reverse the order this time. Why don't we start with you, Bella?
yeah, I mean, I think one of the most important things to me was cultivating relationships with different faculty members. I think about professors in the English department and the psychology department who have really helped me grow as an individual, both just like personally and academically, um, and have really fostered greater like critical thinking and being confident in having a unique voice and using it. Um, I think a lot about, like what do we do with the voice that we have? And
Mhm.
I think that professors here are really attuned to what students need and giving weight to their unique and personal stories like mine. So
Tell me again, what year are you in, Bella?
I'm a senior, so I'm ready to graduate.
Fantastic. Oh, so the big transition is on the horizon. In your program, where are you at as well? And if you could just say a few words, Ross, about what's really been meaningful to you in your law and MBA education.
I would certainly echo Bella's point about faculty, getting to know faculty and staff throughout all of campus. They make the difference. They're the ones here teaching us and helping us to grow as people. So I would echo Bella's point about the faculty, but I would say one topic or one thing that I've done that really stands out is my time as a Keenan assistant rector. I have loved living in Keenan. I have loved getting to know our numerous undergraduates in the hall, becoming a Keenan Knight, working with them, refereeing their football games. That being in Keenan has made my Notre Dame experience, and I am so thankful to have been accepted as an AR in that hall. I believe, and I would say that I know that Keenan is probably the best hall on campus. But as far as where I am in my program, I am my final year. So I did the 3-year JD MBA program. So I will finish in May, and then
Wow.
I'll spend 2 months studying for the bar exam.
Fantastic. So that's really ambitious to complete both, your law degree and MBA in a 3-year time frame. So kudos to you. A lot of hard work has gone into that. And so, were you engaged in the Keenan Review?
I was there each night, and I would go backstage and to see the excitement that those boys had, and they were so proud, and we were proud for them. I was up on stage 1 or 2 times as well. I won't say which scenes, but I was up on stage.
Yeah, They always push the edge a little bit, but so humor and art always it's supposed to do that. I look out my fourth floor window of the Golden Dome and see the students lined up, for hundreds of yards to get those Keenan Review tickets. I mean, it's one of the great hall traditions among the 30 residence halls on campus. It's got to stand out, maybe even the best.
Yes, we gave out over 4,000 tickets.
Wow.
And it was quite an event.
Yeah. So, Bella, tell us a little bit about, what are plans for next year? Have you, what are you looking at? Or I honestly don't know. So what are you discerning as next steps?
Yeah, ironically, I also want to go to law school. So I applied and I've been accepted to a couple places and I'm waiting to hear back from more. But I want to do a dual law and social work degree. So getting my JD and MSW at the same time. Yeah.
And what do you hope to do with that? What's your vision? Given, your background, what do you hope to do with that dual degree?
Yeah, I want to work in something related to sexual and gender-based violence, particularly for groups that are marginalized or more vulnerable to structural violence. Clearly, given my background, like I know a lot about the groups that, are more vulnerable and experience more violence and are less likely to be believed after it's happened.
Right.
So I'm really passionate about that. And I want to practice law and then maybe be involved in the nonprofit sector later on.
Fantastic. That's wonderful. I've often believed that that if you want to find the next generation of great leaders, look in the homeless shelters, look in the prisons, look in the AA groups, because it's people who know brokenness, people who have been really tested and challenged along the way, who have the greatest ability to testify to hope, to be able to, because when you're struggling, you want to go to somebody else who's been there and been able to kind of work their way through it. So I think there's great potential for you to make a difference in those areas. And we're really proud that that you're looking to give back in such a way.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, tell us also, Ross, what are you thinking about for, your next steps?
The next 2 years, I will clerk for 2 federal judges. So in the fall, I will clerk for Chief Judge Tom Schroeder, a fellow Notre Dame law grad, and I will spend a year in Winston-Salem with him. And then I will move to Jackson, Mississippi, where I will spend a year clerking for Judge Corey Todd Wilson of the Fifth Circuit. And then I will go to work for a firm, Jones Day in Houston.
So that's pretty amazing to me. You already have all of those 3 things lined up?
I do, and that is a testament to the Notre Dame Law School and its career development office and its faculty.
Congratulations. I mean, that's phenomenal at this stage to know that you have these successive clerkships and then you're with one of the top law firms in the world that you'll be going into. That's fantastic. Do you know where you'll be based yet with Jones Day, or is that still?
I'll be in their Houston office.
Great. In the great state of Texas.
In the great state of Texas.
Fantastic. I'm wondering, when you kept saying the great state of Texas and the great state of Alabama, I thought, oh my God, he's going to run for politics someday. Is that in your future planning or not?
Certainly not. My mother would be very upset if I ever went into politics. But, I look at it like this. I love both states and I will happily claim both states as long as they claim me.
Yeah, I love it. Good Notre Dame humility. That's terrific. Well, Ross, why don't you start us off with this question, and that is a very important question. If those who provided your financial aid are watching this program now, what would you say to them?
I would start by saying, of course, thank you. Thank you for what you've made possible. Thank you for allowing me to go through these last 3 years and study and work without being worried about debt and where the next payment for tuition is going to come. You have eased such a burden on myself. But I would actually go a little bit further than that to an astute point that you made, Lou, at the beginning. when you talked about the ripple effect. And it's not just myself that a burden has been eased on, because of the generosity of all those who have given to allow me to be here. My family does not have to worry about any kind of funds when they were going to help me. They've been able to make other financial decisions that have bettered our family life without concern of where my next meal would come from. So it's not just me that offers gratitude. It is my family and those who we are around that offer that same amount of gratitude. And the last point I'll make is that I'm able to go and do these clerkships these next 2 years, work for the federal government, serve in public service, because I do not have to worry about paying back loans and paying back interest. And you have all made that possible. And it means quite a bit to me and to my family, and we are forever thankful.
Congratulations, Ross. I know you're going to make a big difference in this world, and we're excited for you and what the future holds. How about for you, Bella? What would you say to your benefactors?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't even know where to start. It sounds cheesy, but a lot of the times I walk past the dome and I kind of just look at it and kind of marvel that I've even gotten here. Growing up, obviously, I spent a lot of time surviving, and so I didn't really think a lot about the realization of my dreams. And to everyone who's been able, has given me the opportunity to come here, it's really given my power back. And I'm really glad that I've had, the power to realize my dreams and do what I love. And I know a lot of people that's not possible for. So I would just say thank you so much. I'm looking forward to graduating now. I finally have the ability and the voice to fight for things that I care about. And being at ND has given me a lot of the tools to be able to do that. And education is just such an amazing gift, and it's so empowering. And honestly, I don't know where I would be or who I would be without the generosity of benefactors. So, yeah.
That's great, Bella. Pardon me for asking, but how are your mom and dad and your two siblings doing? And is there any chance that they'll be able to be out here for commencement exercises in May?
Yeah, so my brother is in law school right now, actually. So I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make it out, but I know my parents and my sister and the new family dog will be making it out to commencement. So
that's fantastic. Well, you must come from, as you mentioned before, extraordinary parents to have raised you both of you, and to see what you're doing with your lives. It gives us hope in a world that has so many needs, and there's so much brokenness, and there's so much kind of evil rhetoric that's out there. You give us hope. It's balm for a wound that is much needed. And I know you guys are going to go forth and make a difference. I hope all of you who've been able to join us today or will watch this in the future, please share this with others. Know of the difference that you are making in the extraordinary lives of these two young individuals and so many other Notre Dame undergraduate students and graduate and professional students across the board. Father John says there is no single higher priority than meeting the full financial need of our students, both to get them here and to give them the full Notre Dame experience once they are here. And the latter is not something to be taken for granted. Father Ted Hesper, that he believed, and it was just 7 years ago, believe it or not, last week that he passed away. He believed that the greatest gift that you could give in this world was the gift of a Notre Dame education, because those graduates of Notre Dame will go forth and be leaven for a world that is deeply in need. They will help to transform the jangling discord of this world into a more harmonic symphony, not just by rising to the tops of their professions with integrity and excellence, but also a deep sense of humility, but also being good husbands, wives, mothers, fathers, whatever their personal calling might be, to lead lives of integrity and service across the board. That's what you are doing. You're giving back an investment into the future of our country and our world, to make a difference in the lives of extraordinary young individuals like, Bella and Ross and so many others. So please know that our hearts are not only full of gratitude for you and your sacrifices, but know too that they're full of hope. We need what Notre Dame has to offer. We need to be, as Father Soren envisioned, not just a great Catholic university, but one of the most powerful means for good in all of society. And I believe when you meet people like, these two young individuals and Ross and Bella, you can see that we're coming close to what Father Soren had envisioned for the mission of Notre Dame. So again, thank you all. Take care. God bless, and go Irish.
Go Irish.
Go Irish.